So, one of my best performing investments so far in 2023 has been the Comcast Corporation. A lot of people sleep on this thinking, oh, that's just a boring cable company. Cable TV is the past. It's a dying business. Well, that would be true if that's all Comcast was. However, those same cable lines that provide your cable also provide residential broadband. One of the things that they think is going to be the future focus and driver of future growth. In addition to the residential broadband, for which they are practically a monopoly in many areas, millions and millions of people basically have no viable alternative to Comcast as far as their broadband internet connection. They also have Xfinity Wireless, which it's super easy to forget about. I think, as far as I know, it may only be available in the areas where they provide broadband. Like, I certainly never see advertising for Xfinity Wireless where I live. Business services connectivity. So this would be like, hey, you have an office or a small business somewhere and you need phone and internet. Well, of course they provide that. Theme parks. That's right, Universal. A lot of people don't realize Comcast is more of a competitor to Disney, for example, than a lot of people realize. They have theme parks, they have streaming via the Peacock network. Now, I'm not going to say that Peacock is as good as Disney Plus, but there are a lot of people that love The Office and have Peacock literally just so that they have unlimited access to episodes of The Office. They also have a focus on creating premium content creation in their studios. So it seems like they want to invest in, making great content that will drive people to, go to the movies. If the content becomes available on their streaming platform, Peacock, or actually they do own a third of Hulu as well. It might drive more customers to those platforms. Now, Hulu is another interesting case. They have a third of it they jointly own with Disney. There's like a set thing in the contract where Disney has the right to buy them out for $9 billion out of their share of Hulu. Now, Hulu, from what I understand, still isn't profitable. So I'd be perfectly happy if Comcast took the $9 billion and ran, because it would allow them to do more of the other thing I love about Comcast: return of capital. This is Comcast rewarding shareholders. In Q2 23, they had done $2 billion in share repurchases, with $11 billion in the trailing 12 months. That is a lot of share repurchases, guys. And there have been multiple points where the stock has been kind of cheap, so I like that they would just dump more into repurchasing shares than in dividends. Now, I like the dividend as well. They issued $1.2 billion in dividends, but buying back those shares, especially during periods where the stock price is a little bit cheaper, it lets them drive EPS up, which then paves the way for future dividend increases, actually. Now, dividends per share, they have been increasing the dividend since 2013, according to this little graph they've got here, from 39 cents up to $1.16 in that time period over the last 10 years. So almost tripling the dividend in that time frame. So that's also not so bad, if I'm being perfectly honest. So Comcast is kind of, in these ways, almost looking like a little bit of a Buffett type stock. Increasing dividend, which is well covered if they're only paying out $1.2 billion in dividends, and they still have $2 billion additional for share repurchases. Buying back shares when the valuation seems not too terribly stretched, and just continuing to focus on the parts of the business that are going to make the money in the long run and rewarding shareholders for hanging on. Now, look at this. These share buybacks as of recent, just ridiculously nice. Look at that number of shares going down. Down like 10% in the last couple years. Freaking amazing. Look also at top line revenue. Now, it's not screaming, but they've had a few quarters in the not too distant past where they really grew top line revenue. Probably, if I had to guess, theme parks coming back because there were some drops during COVID. But I think these jumps more than made up for it. And this is a business where analysts are expecting pretty substantial EPS growth over the next few years. Okay? Like 3 out of the 4 of the next years, the analysts that are projecting for those timeframes all put it in the double digits. Now, I wouldn't put numbers quite that beefy in any kind of DCF or anything, but when I was first evaluating it, if you beat them up pretty bad, for example, give them penalize them for their leverage by deducting their tangible book value, which, granted, like, I think that's a little unfair to do because I think probably a lot of their intangibles probably do have some value, but that's neither here nor there. You can do that, give an 11% discount rate, which is slightly higher than normal, only factor in 8% EPS growth, and start from 2023's projected EPS, and you do come up with a number that's basically my cost basis, right? However, this is kind of, I think, not being very generous with what Comcast can do. And really, I think, you could, for example, not necessarily penalize them so much for the balance sheet. Just figure, like, hey, they can manage that leverage. Now, interest rates may be a concern there. Maybe it'd be worth, splitting the difference, giving them some kind of like deducting some percentage as like a margin of safety to factor that in or something. Only do a 10% discount rate. Maybe give them credit for a little bit more growth. Like, you could make this argument that the stock is still undervalued today. However, I think it's better to just err on being a little bit more conservative. I would definitely, if you're okay with just a 10% discount rate, at least continue factoring in the balance sheet, even if you think the growth numbers should be, slightly higher or whatever. But even still, you still end up looking not too terribly stretched today, giving them credit for still a number that's close to but a little less than the next few years of growth from analysts, although this is a 10-year number. So it's hard to say what they'll do over the next 10 years. But certainly the next 3 or 4 analysts expect to be quite good. I think there's, still an argument to be made that the stock price isn't terribly stretched even today. But honestly, it's probably not as deep into value territory anymore as what it was when I got in. So I'm not really looking to add here at this point, but I think in the broader market, you could do a whole heck of a lot worse than Comcast right now. Let me know in the comments below if you have any Comcast, or if you just think of it as a dinosaur cable company and don't even want to bother. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Join my Discord. Link is in the description. Also, check out the new channel, Cashflow Kings Live. I am one of the hosts, along with Ryan Dengler from The Ryan Dengler Show. And we will be doing weekly live shows on that channel. Take it easy, everyone. Have a wonderful day.